Significance of clearance of water. So tell me about water. Water, where? In the nephron. Okay? In the nephron. There's two types of water, and by that we mean it could be either free or it could be obligated, right? What's obligated mean to you? It's bound to electrolytes. In the thick ascending limb, are you there? In the thick ascending limb, what are you doing? Removing the electrolytes. What are they? Sodium, potassium, 2 chloride. Thus, in your nephron, what are you left with? You're left with free water. Let us now take it one step further, and we'll call this clearance of water. Clearance can be zero, it can be positive, or it could be negative. Now, before we move on, can you please tell me the concept of clearance? Clearance means what you're actually evacuating from the body, what you're urinating, what you're clearing. This is, remember all of the terminologies that we did earlier. We have filtration, and then at the PCT you can modify it, you can reabsorb, or you can secrete, and then finally you get clearance. Okay, so it could be either zero, or it could be positive, or it could be negative. What does that mean? It's important that you understand this clinically. The explanation for these values are the following. Now, if the clearance of water is zero, what does that mean to you? It means that clearance of water is zero when no solute free water is excreted. What does that mean? That means that what you are here releasing is going to be what's called as isotenuria. In other words, this is isoosmotic. What this means is it's obligated water. So it's isotonic. There is no solute free. So that means that it's bound with sodium, making it what? Isoosmotic with plasma. You call this isotenuria. Interesting. Last time we talked about isotenuria, and we'll talk about this again. This is a big deal. Isotenuria represents the fact that, well, let's say that you had, remember that urinary tract infection? I bring that up quite a bit because it's an excellent example to really highlight and demonstrate a lot of key issues. So if you have that ascending infection come all the way up to the kidney, pyelonephritis, and at some point that E. coli is in my pelvis, there it is, then it might cause a little bit of destruction, a lot of destruction. You might have necrosis. Where are you in the kidney? You're in the papilla. What's in the papilla? What part of the nephron? How about the medullary loop of Henle? So you have the loop of Henle, the medulla, and it's responsible for doing what? Creating hypertonic urine. And if you have something called renal papillonecrosis secondary to a ascending E. coli type of urinary tract infection, then unfortunately you won't be able to properly form hypertonic urine, and you might have isotenuria. So the fact that you have isotenuria in terms of clearance of water, it'd be zero. But in terms of pathology and urinary tract infection, it could be a problem. Is that clear? Example here, treatment with the loop diuretic. So if you have a loop diuretic, what is it going to do? It'll block off the sodium, potassium, 2 chloride in the thick ascending limb. And all of that urination, isn't this the most potent diuretic? Of course it is. All that urination is taking place subsequently taking this drug. What kind of water? Clearance of water is zero, meaning to say that it's not solute free. It's bound to sodium. Clearance. Let's talk about further descriptions. Clearance is zero. No free water is generated. NaCl reabsorption is inhibited by, well, maybe something like your loop. If free water is not generated, it cannot be excreted, can it? The ability to dilute the urine during water drinking is impaired. Why? Well, you can't dilute the urine because the sodium, potassium, 2 chloride might be then impaired. The ability to concentrate the urine during water deprivation is impaired. This is all dealing with something like your clearance, and you're giving your loop diuretic. Interferes with generation of cortical papillary osmotic gradient. Understand what that says. Cortical. That's your Bowman space, PCT. I want you to go into the papilla. Where are you now? In the medulla. Is that clear? So therefore, if you have a loop diuretic, that's your prototype here, and you have impairment of sodium potassium 2 chloride, what have you done? You've impaired the cortico-papillary osmotic gradient. Therefore, what's your clearance of water here? Zip. You're not producing any free water.